Hey guys, Dr. Gary here from City Facial Plastics. So as many of you know, I have alopecia areata, which is a type of autoimmune condition where the body attacks its own hair follicles. So I've purposely kind of kept my hair messy so you can see the amount of scalp that is showing through. And there's a massive area of missing hair there. On my left side, you can see that the eyebrows have significantly thinned out and my eyelashes are almost all gone. And this has occurred over the course of the last 2 months in terms of the scalp and the facial hair loss. But I've had this condition for about 10 years. It started as patches of hair loss on my legs, and then ultimately, and the hair used to come back, and then it stopped coming back, and it progressed upwards to my upper extremities and then ultimately to my scalp. And I had a spot form about 2 years ago around this same area, but a much smaller area on that side of the scalp. And over about 9 months of time, the hair grew in. I had a couple of steroid injections. Not sure if those really did anything, but the hair did come back. And the rest of my scalp was pretty nice and full, as you guys have seen in all my photos. But then about 3 months ago, I had a bout of Bell's palsy that took out the right side of my face. It just went weak for 3 weeks. And as I went through different treatments to try to get that back, I ultimately suffered from a significant hair loss episode. And so that was probably an episode of TELOGEN effluvium coupled with my alopecia areata, and the hair unfortunately has continued to consistently shed over the last few months. And despite PRP treatment, which I do to others, and I had it done to myself, it hasn't really changed much. Steroid shots, nothing has really done a whole lot. So I sought out Dr. Kumar Sudeku, who is an amazing hair dermatologist here in New York City, and so he's been my treating physician for this condition now. And we talked about the different options. I'm actually going to have him as a guest on my Insta Live Face Facts series. But we spoke about a couple of different options, mainly a type of oral medication called a JAK inhibitor, which is an immunosuppressive agent which has been shown to help in alopecia areata patients. But because of COVID-19, especially here in New York City, I felt like suppressing my immune system was not a good idea with this circulating virus. And just in general, getting sick with different things, if you're immunosuppressed, it kind of increases that risk. So instead, he recommended that we start on something called SQUARIC acid, which I'd never heard of before. And being, that I'm a hair restoration surgeon, you'd think that somewhere, in some course it would have been mentioned, but it's not a widely used treatment. However, it's been shown to be very effective in different studies. And so what this is basically it's an irritant that is applied to the area where you've lost hair, where you're hoping to gain hair back. And it's meant to train the body to attack the skin in that location instead of the hair follicle. And so that's what makes it kind of unique and different. And when you look at the clinical trials that have been done on SQUARIC acid, it's just as effective, about 60 to 70% efficacy, compared to the newer JAK inhibitors, which you basically take a pill for the rest of your life. So I am very excited to start on SQUARIC acid. I actually had my first treatment in the office with Dr. Kumar. That was a sensitization treatment, so we did 2% SQUARIC acid applied to sort of this main area of loss here. And that was mainly to see if there was a reaction, like an allergic reaction, and just to sensitize the body to that chemical. So now I've started on, so that was at 2% SQUARIC acid. Now I've gone back down to 0.01% SQUARIC acid, which I just applied last week to this kind of same left side of the scalp to see if it shows improvement. And keep in mind, the improvement from it can take months. So that's why we apply to one side of the scalp. Because you don't want to just apply everywhere and then maybe the hair would have grown back on its own. This is a different hair loss condition, mind you, than like male pattern baldness, where you have recession of hair. Notice how my hairline is still, fairly low and at a good level. However, I have kind of patchiness sort of all throughout, and just a global type of thinning that's occurred, and obviously in other parts of the face as well. So SQUARIC acid we apply to one side of the scalp to see if there's a change change in the amount of hair that grows in. If you start to notice a difference on that side, like there's more hair coming in, great, then you start to apply it to kind of the rest of the scalp. So that's the way we're doing this treatment. And we're trying to find the right dose for me. So we went to the lowest dose last week, 0.01%. I've been doing these treatments at home because the offices are closed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So my wife's been helping me apply the acid, and basically once it's applied, we have to wear a hat while there's still light, around you. And then when you go to sleep, you can take the hat off, and then you wash off the chemical in the morning. So that's how we've been doing it. And the end point, like when you know you've reached the right dose, is when you have some mild irritation on the skin without it obviously, hurting or giving you a ton of redness or anything like that, but just some mild irritation or some swollen lymph nodes on that side. And that's the sort of effect that we're going for. So with the 0.01%, I really didn't experience any significant symptoms at all. So we know that that dose is too weak. And so for this week, we're actually increasing the dose to the 0.02%. And so I wanted to show everyone how that looks. These here are the bottles of the squaric acid in the varying percentages. So these are the different doses. You see the 0.01%, that's what we tried last week. I had no real symptoms from that. 0.02%, which is what we're gonna apply tonight. The 0.1%, which is the next level up if the 0.02 is not strong enough. 1%, and then finally the 2% dose, which really should be enough to result in some kind of clinical change. When applying the squaric acid, it's important to avoid getting it in the eye, as with most chemicals, and you want to apply a relatively thin coat of chemical, and it's helpful to have somebody kind of helping you with it and doing the application for you, especially as you get towards the back of the scalp to difficult to reach areas. Hey guys, so we've got the 0.02% of the squaric acid, and we're going to be using that to apply it on the scalp. So it comes as this type of a dropper system, and you basically put the drops on some gauze, and you make sure that it's not like dripping, just to wring it out. Okay, right, you don't want it running. And then you'll see it being applied to the left side of the scalp. Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to protect my eye here, just in case. So, yeah, dabbing is good, but kind of do like a rubbing motion. Yeah, there you go. And she's going to cover half of the scalp, the whole left side. And that's the idea. It's basically a topical irritant. It's supposed to cause a contact dermatitis, usually after about 48 hours. And you can see it come up as a rash or lymphadenopathy on one side of the, so for treating this side, you'd get swollen lymph nodes on the same side. That's the concept. When we reach the dose that we'll be using for the scalp, which we still don't know what that will be, that's a little wet. Is that dripping?
No.
Okay, it feels a little wet there.
Not dripping.
Okay. Once we reach that dose, then we'll apply it as well to the eyebrow. But until we know what that exact dose is, we're not going to be doing that. Hey guys, Dr. Gary here. So just a quick update on where I'm at with the alopecia areata. Basically, the hair continues to fall out. As you can see, I've lost most of the eyebrow hair, the eyelashes are gone. The hair on top kind of keeps shedding and falling out, so it's gotten to the point where I think I'm just going to shave it. I am working on these squaric acid treatments, which is basically a topical immunotherapy that tries to get the immune system to target the surface of the skin and not the hair follicles underneath. I'm also looking into actually doing systemic immunotherapy as another option. And so yeah, but for now, I think we're just gonna start to shave it down to look more presentable in public. Alright, so we're gonna just keep going, just like that. I've never done this before, so it's kind of a strange experience, but we'll update you guys when this is over. Alright, so here we are. We did it. First we used a trimmer to get like the long hairs down short, and then a razor to finish off the rest. So pretty interesting process, and I guess this is the new look for the time being. Hey guys, so as you can see, I still don't have the hair. I shaved months ago at this point, and there's still nothing, but that's okay. I've got these nifty new glasses, which is fun, and I've been getting allergy shots. So I've been going every single week, keeping up on my shots. Every week they kind of go up on either the volume of what they're giving me or the actual concentration. I'm getting the 4 different shots: the dust mites, the molds, the trees, and you know, it's been interesting just kind of adding that into the weekly routine. So I'll keep doing that probably for the rest of the year, maybe another 6 months or so of shots. But what I've noticed is that my nails are less brittle, which is nice. They feel much stronger, and that's obviously super important for the work that I do. Still no hair, but I'm okay with that. So we'll keep you guys updated with what comes next.